What is going on, guys? Max Settings here, and welcome back to another review. In today's review, we are going to be taking a look at the Topping E30 DAC. Now, before we get on into this review, I just have to give a big shout out to Shenzhen Audio for providing the E30 for review. Shenzhen Audio is an online audio retailer that carries many different brands, and they are also the main distributor for Moondrop. So I will link their site below if you want to pick up an E30 from them or take a look at their selection of other products. But once again, big thanks to them for providing this for review. So the Topping E30 is the successor to the Topping D30, which was a very successful product. I've seen a lot of people with them. I know a lot of people quite like that DAC, but this is its successor. And this DAC does a few things that are pretty cool, and it also looks quite nice. As you can see, it's a very nice black box, but it is also offered in silver for those of you that prefer a silver finish. But anyway, let's go ahead and get specs out of the way here. So the E30 is coming in at $130. It is using the AKM AK4493 EQ for its chip, THD plus noise of 0.0003%, 121 dB signal to noise ratio, and sports DSD up to 512, and PCM up to 32 bits 768K, and that's about all the relevant information for the E30. Now, in terms of a physical overview of the DAC, metal box all around. On the front, you have an OLED screen, even though it still has that kind of classic Topping, like 80s clock font. And you have a capacitive power button, and it does get quite fingerprinty, as you can see. And on the bottom, you have some rubber feet, and nothing on either side or the top. Moving on to the back, you have your RCA outputs, coaxial in, optical in, USB in, and a barrel plug for power. So you can either run this off of just another USB port or feed it out to like a little phone charger brick or something, and then pick your choice of digital inputs for the DAC. So that is the physical overview of the unit. Okay, so the other big selling point for the E30 is that it has a remote control. And this makes it, I think, the cheapest DAC that I know of that has a remote. I'm sure somebody's going to link some no-name $20 DAC on Amazon that has a remote, but this is the cheapest, I guess, name brand DAC that I know of that has a remote. And this remote control has quite a few functions. Some of these buttons don't work because this remote is shared with other products, but most of them do. So you can power on and off the DAC with this. You have mute, source select with these left and rights. You have volume up and volume down with the plus and the minus. I don't believe this does anything. I don't think that does anything either. This one changes your filters. This one changes the brightness of the screen, and this one changes the auto shut off. I don't think M does anything either from my memory. So that is an overview of the remote control, and that will make this a prime pick for people that are using speakers, either powered monitors or this out to a power amplifier like a Schiit Vidar or like a Crown amp or something like that. So you can control it with your remote control, which is quite nice. Okay, so now we'll cut away to just a little demonstration of what this DAC looks like when it is powered on. And you can see what it looks like and how the remote control functions. Okay, so here we are with the Topping E30 on my TV. And you can see you can power it on and off from the remote. And you can go volume down and volume up. You can also switch inputs, which will all show error because only optical is enabled. You can mute it. There's different filters. You can do like the auto turn off, and you also can do the brightness level. And that is basically what the operation of the unit looks like. So you can see how it looks and how it would work on a TV setup when you're using it to control your speakers. Okay, so now that that's out of the way, let's continue on with the review. So I've never been much of a fan of Topping products, but I haven't heard their high-end stuff like the DX7, the D70, or I don't know, the A90 or D90. But I haven't been much a fan of most of their low-end products that I've heard. I own the Topping D10 here, which is a bit cheaper than the E30, coming in at around $70. And I don't like how this sounds as a DAC. I think it sounds pretty thin and glary, and I just use it as a optical transport. However, the E30 I actually think sounds pretty decent. I would say it's probably my favorite Topping product that I've heard to date. And anyway, let's go over how we did the testing for this review. So what I did is I took the E30 here and compared it with basically the industry standard for a $100-ish DAC, being the Madi 3. This is pretty much the new benchmark. There's also the new JDS Atom DAC, but I have not heard that. But Madi 3, everybody pretty much agrees, is the benchmark of this segment for a $100 DAC. So what I did was I powered both of these externally off just phone charger bricks. And I took the two optical outs out of my Cambridge 851D, which is a big Cambridge DAC that has optical outputs. And I fed both of these optical outputs. And these DACs both output RCA to the head-amp Gilmore Light Mark II. And there's two reasons why I chose this over other amps that I have lying around. The first reason is that I think this is about the highest end of the amps that people that have $100-ish DACs are going to be using. This thing's about $500, so I think that's roughly about the point where most people are going to start maybe branching into higher end DACs when you go past this level of amplification in terms of price. And the other bigger reason why is that this amp supports two different RCA inputs, and it has a switch on the front that lets you switch between them quickly. So what I did was, once again, both DACs were fed optical. Both DACs fed RCA outs into the two inputs of the Gilmore Light. And then I could just sit here and go, okay, Madi, Topping, Madi, Topping. And just very easily switch back and forth between them with the two DACs volume matched. So that is how the testing was conducted for this review. So what I found doing the testing is that for a straight up, I'm going to take a DAC, feed it straight out into a headphone amp, control with the knob. I still prefer the Madi 3 over the E30, but only marginally. I think the Madi 3 sounds a little bit warmer than the E30 does. Seems to have a little bit more punch in its sub bass. And the one area where I think the Topping lacks compared to the Madi is in like microdynamic contrast. It's not as good in like really fine micro details and microdynamics as the Madi is, but it sounds way less dead overall than other Topping DACs that I've heard. It sounds like a fairly decent $100-ish DAC. Like I said, the only area where it lacks is just in those very minute micro details, but I don't know necessarily if everybody would pick up on that. And I primarily use the HD800 for testing for this because the 800 is very, very source revealing. If you have not as much of a revealing headphone, I don't even know if you would notice that lack of microdynamics. Something that's very revealing like the 800 that actually can produce very fine microdynamics and micro detail like that is going to pick up on that, but something less resolving probably won't. So you may not even have that level of issues. So yeah, but overall the E30 does sound like a fairly clean DAC that's not overly dead or anything, which is surprising given my experience with Topping products. But once again, the area where this thing will shine the most is for people that are using speakers, again being either powered monitors or with a power amplifier, because you can just sit back with your remote and control the volume of your speakers or mute it. So for those of you that want a remote control DAC at around $100, This is definitely the one to go to. And I know some people just want to kick back in their chairs, even with their headphones, and just control the volume with the remote. That's one of the reasons a lot of people really like the Army ADI2 DAC, because it also has a remote control with a volume control. So in conclusion, if you want a $100 DAC with a remote control, the E30 gets my recommendation. And especially for people that are on TVs, I think this is going to be even more of an appealing product because it looks very nice. It'll definitely look good on like a TV shelf or cabinet. And you can feed it right out to your speakers, and it should be a fairly seamless process. But anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed my review of the Topping E30. Once again, thanks to Shenzhen Audio for providing the E30 for review. Links of where to buy this in the description below, as well as my Twitter, my contact email, and all other relevant information. But anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed the review. Look forward to seeing you in the next one. Bye.